to discuss the public hearing cable TV agreement. And Matt, if you would read the public notice, please.
Town of Wheatfield notice of public hearing for the approval of a cable television agreement between Time Warner Cable Northeast LLC and the Town of Wheatfield. Please take notice that the Town of Wheatfield will hold a public hearing on May 21st, 2018 at 7 p.m. at the Wheatfield Town Hall, 2800 Church Road, North Tonawanda, New York, 14120, regarding the granting of a cable television franchise agreement by and between the Town of Wheatfield and Time Warner Cable Northeast LLC, locally known as Charter Communications. A copy of the agreement is available for the public inspection during the normal business hours at the Town Clerk's office at 2800 Church Road, North Tonawanda, New York, 14120. At such public hearing, all persons will be given an opportunity to be heard. Written and oral statements will be taken at that time. Time limitations may be imposed for each oral statement if necessary. By order of the Town Board, Town of Wheatfield, dated April 16, 2018.
Hey, Matt, would you give just a brief explanation as to the content and what's regulated?
We have a periodically expires cable franchise agreement, in this case with Time Warner Cable. I believe the last one we had was relatively old, had expired, although still continued by its terms, and I believe it was from the early 2000s. The cable franchise agreement relationships between the town and this particular cable franchise agreement, it is typically they're non-exclusive, but it grants them the authority to run cables, wires throughout our town, lets them do their work. It also, the town gets from it a cable franchise fee, which in this case is 5% of the total revenues from the cable television service. It talks about the service obligations that they provide to the town, when they will extend cable routes to more rural roads, how many residences individuals have to live there. It also grants the town a certain number of free cable drops for public service, and allows the town to see weather, things like that, for the plowing, or what the highway department has to do for public emergency. It talks about the technical and construction requirements with regard to that, and it's a comprehensive agreement. In this case, it's proposed to a term of 15 years, and the maximum allowed by law of the cable franchise fee is 5%, and that's what's proposed here. And I believe we have someone was coming from Time Warner to discuss it on their end, and I believe he's here.
Yeah, come on up to the microphone, please.
Yes, my name is Mark Meyerhofer, Director of Government Affairs for Charter Communications, which is the corporate name for Spectrum. Even though we're legally operating as Time Warner Cable Northeast in the franchise agreement, that's the legal name of the state we'll continue to use. And Matt really summarized it well. We had been working back and forth for a number of months here, and I don't really have anything else to add. Matt was pretty comprehensive in what he offered, but certainly would welcome any questions if anyone has it.
Thank you.
Yeah, while you're up there, question.
Yep.
Do these agreements include like price increases? One of the complaints I hear on the street is, the cable rates have gone up, and but it doesn't look like there's any meat in this agreement that allows the town anyways to control any of your cost adjustments or price increases or things like that?
Sure, yeah. Unlike other entities such as electric and gas, under New York state law, cable is not regulated. The rates are not regulated under New York state law. So in this case, the town board or the state does not have any control over those rates.
So this basic agreement, like if someone, I see where if you have a house that's within 150 feet of the street, you're obligated to run and provide cable services to that particular house. If we get a new street, you will run your services onto that new street, but is that anything else that we should be looking at? Or?
Yeah, that's generally how it works. I mean, we do have a homes per mile part of the franchise, and generally, you know, it's prorated, so in generally a town like Wheatfield, and a new development, in almost, you know, 100% of the cases, we would be certainly expanding to those areas, and again, because it's, you know, because of the nature of the town, for the most part, the customer does not have to pay anything towards the construction of that. Now, if you get into more rural areas of the town or even the county, there are some cases where a resident could have to pay towards construction of that line, but that's, again, pretty sparse area. We're getting down to, you know, under 15 homes per mile or even 10 homes per mile where that would have to occur. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. If anyone has any questions related to this contract, if you would like to come forward and speak into the microphone and give us your name and address, that'd be great. Anyone? Good evening.
My name is Roy Gregory from Whitmer Road. Years I've been having a problem with the cable company. I'm at what they call end of the line, so when people come home and start up all their devices, sometimes my cable's on or my internet's on, it's off. My security system come in to replace some cameras, and they couldn't because it had a didn't have enough service out there. Well, we called in the cable company, and they went upstairs, and they found out there was 90 upstairs when I thought it was supposed to be 100, and 40 outside in front of the garage. Okay, I only need 20 anyway, all right? I got my tablet going, and he's working on setting everything up, and bang, it drops. So I said to the security guy, I said, well, what the heck's going on here? He says, go downstairs and check this plug. Well, when the security was installed, there was an outlet back there where the old freezer was. 2-bang outlet with the screw in the center. When they put the security thing in, they took the screw out, put the plug in, and screwed it in there, so it stayed. When the cable company come in to put a booster on the line because of my service, okay, they had a plug that you were to take the screw out again. Well, they didn't bother to take the screw out. It wouldn't have fit anyway. So they just jammed it in there. Well, what was happening is, you know, the old houses, you know, rock and roll or whatever, and sometimes I'd have internet, sometimes I wouldn't. Got to jump it back up again. So we went down there and we cut the damn thing off with a 4.5-inch grinder. Just cut that little tab off, plugged it in. We really haven't had so much problems with it then or now, but we still got problems with the TV. It'll freeze, and then like if you're watching like Yankees game or something like that, it'll freeze, and then it'll stop, voice everything. Next thing you know, it starts all over halfway down the field. I'm paying $205 a month for this. You know, I think it's a little outrageous. All right, this has been going on for years. A couple of years ago, somebody came down Whitmer Road, and somehow the line came loose off the house or off the pole, and they took it down into North Tonawanda. It took them 3 days to come hook it up. Okay, that's fine. They didn't offer no rebate. I asked about it, so we don't do that. I just think they got a scam going on. I'm not happy with the cable company at all. I think all this stuff should be addressed before we go any further.
When's the last time you had Spectrum in your house to take a look at the technical difficulties?
About 3 weeks ago.
Some of the
Okay,
same
that's
things.
when they come in and said I had 90 megabytes or whatever it is service, and they were standing 2 feet from the box, from the router. They went out in front of the garage with the routers in the window. Okay, probably about 40 feet away, and they said I got 40 now. So, I mean, you know, I only need 20 to run everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, it's current, it's not history.
I would call, no, I've had some of the same problems that you've had, and I've called them up, and Time Warner was very responsive. You know, my television would, you know,
Yeah.
watching the Yankees game or something like that
Sure.
would just freeze, or you wouldn't have sound. They came in, they actually reran the wire from the road to the house, and then your inside wiring they're not supposed to touch, because that's all on you. But they put a booster in or whatever they had to do, and but I would say give Spectrum another chance to come out there and fix it. You know,
How many
you're
more
not getting
chances do
service
they
you
need?
should be.
This has been going on for years.
Well,
Like I
then
said, they've told me that I'm at the end of the line. Last house in Wheatfield. So when everybody comes home and starts up their devices, I get what's left. That ain't right. You know, maybe I should pay them out of what's left of my paycheck. How's that? You know? I know that ain't gonna work. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, for the shoddy work of putting this thing in sideways and the plug's hanging out, I got pictures of that. I'm sure you don't wanna see them, but you know what I'm saying? It's nonstop with these people. You get on the phone, it's anywhere between a half hour to an hour to find somebody to communicate with. Okay? A lot of times you wind up with people that speak broken English and you can't understand them. You know what I'm saying? So I asked for somebody in this island here. They gotta ask their supervisor, I gotta be on hold for another 5 or 10 minutes. Then their supervisor, just give me somebody on the mainland. Then it's another 15 minutes, 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? It's just, every time you get on the phone, it's a half hour to an hour with them. So a lot of times you just turn the TV off and walk away.
Well, I would call them up again and schedule another appointment.
Well,
Maybe
how many
get a
times do
better-
you wanna call them up, you know?
All right, Mr. Gregory, thank you. Maybe this gentleman can hook you up with the correct, someone that can help him out? Is that a possibility? Okay, Mr. Gregory? Yeah. This gentleman maybe hopefully can help you up with someone that will give you a hand? Okay, I'd appreciate it, and, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else like to speak?
My name is Richard Giordano. I live on Hoover Road in Sanborn. My question is, why 15 years? Are you locked in for 15 years? That's an awful long time. There's technology changes that can go on immensely, you know, in 15 years. Other possibilities of cable companies starting up or coming into the area. Do they have exclusive rights to this area if another company were eventually to come in? I mean, you're locked in for 15 years. I mean, the rates are going through the roof. It's a monopoly. We have no say in the matter.
A few answers to your questions. First off, it's not exclusive, it's non-exclusive. This dictates their rights and responsibilities and things like that. Gentleman has a problem that they're supposed to do things technically correct, which is why hopefully he can hook them up with some repairs, but it's non-exclusive. If someone else comes in, we would most likely enter into some sort of agreement perhaps with them.
So you'd be able to have two agreements then with two different companies.
It's non-exclusive, so that's the way it starts out. But, and realistically, I've been the town attorney for only a couple of years. However, our previous agreement goes back to more than 15 years. After a point, it gets to be, and you're right, we are in a stage where all of a sudden things are changing rapidly, more so than they've changed from 2000 to now, but you know, things are changing with internet and streaming services. But this is written, and the way the law authorizes it to be written is it's only with regard to fees and revenue generated from cable television. Now, there's a lot of other products they sell nowadays, telephone, internet. The way the law is written, we're only entitled to a cable franchise fee for cable TV services.
Okay.
That includes, you know, the cable TV installation, your monthly fee, pay-per-views, things like that. So it's not giving away everything. Different technologies, different things develop in the future. You know, then it would be up to the state and federal governments to legislate and allow us to perhaps get revenues. But a cable franchise fee, the law says the maximum is 5%. As far as we can tell, there's no legislation pending within the state to increase that. If we knew something like that was on the horizon, well, that's something we might want to renegotiate on. But it's 5%. It is what it is. It's been that way for many years.
I was just concerned that you would be locked into just this company, but if it's non-exclusive and other companies do eventually come in, because right now it is a monopoly. They could charge us whatever they want, take it or leave it.
True.
That's their
True, and
way they are.
there is other things coming in. It seems like most things coming in nowadays are in other formats, whether they be those streaming services or satellite dish. But it's a non-exclusive agreement. It allows them to sell their product here and us to have a way to regulate it and regulate how they provide it and where they provide it, certain standards they have to maintain, certain payments they have to give to the town, and we have certain rights and responsibilities too. But it does not limit us from moving ahead with the future.
And a lot of people on Hoover Road, we're also limited to the fact that we don't have Verizon on our street. Frontier has the rights for that area. So we're limited to them as an option, and it's not a really good option.
Well,
Whereas
that-
we don't have Verizon.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, even going beyond the scope of my legal involvement, that's why people are supposedly, cutting the cord and going
Well,
other
that's what
routes.
we're doing, yeah.
And you're not obligated to buy cable TV from a particular provider, but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But it's not a perfect system, but this does give us the ability to regulate, as opposed to, we don't have the ability to say they can't sell their cable TV services here. This gives us a say in it, so it really provides us with a little bit of rules and regulations. It doesn't limit us. It gives us a say in what they're selling, which we otherwise might not have,
Okay.
and a
Thank
revenue
you.
stream.
Thank you.
Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much, appreciate it.
Matt, just a follow-up on, page 11, 14.5, the revocation clause that's there. It sounds like if, Spectrum or Time Warner is non-compliant or something, we have a 60-day out that we could, but I don't wanna interpret this, you're the attorney, but what exactly does that section mean?
Well, there is that whole entire section 14 is enforcement or revocation, and that's if it's technically not up to snuff, if they're not providing what they're supposed to, if they're not remitting, I guess, their franchise fee, if the community's not being provided with the basics that they're supposed to, we can go through a procedure to try to terminate it before the 15 years is up. Rarely does that happen, and I don't think most cable companies are able to, especially one the size of Time Warner, to meet those requirements. But there is an out to revoke it. Certain procedure has to be followed, but that typically does not happen very often, because if there is a big service outage, they're probably going to divert resources to get things up and running. And I know we may have a couple problems, and hopefully by coming here we can work on getting those resolved. But it certainly doesn't get to the point where, where we're anywhere near having to exercise any type of, and we never have to terminate it. And if that was the case, we'd probably end up renegotiating a new agreement thereafter anyway.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Make a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.